بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون. صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has once again blessed us with the opportunity to come to the masjid. It is only with the infinite grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are able to be here. And for every moment that we spend trying to do the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should be very grateful for that. You know, people around the world are always looking for happiness and peace, and the peace that we feel while we are in the masjids and while we are doing ibadah, nothing can compare to that. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all of the ibadah that we do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. That can the one who does not know be equal to the one who does know? A person who has knowledge, he will never be equal to the one who does not have any kind of knowledge. We are living in a society where people are very easily and very simply and not correctly doing things in deen which they have very little knowledge about. That whenever they have any kind of a question, they'll ask Sheikh Mufti Google, am I allowed to do this? Is this halal? Is this haram? And they don't know which link they are clicking, and whatever it is that they find, they just go along with it, instead of actually finding out from those who actually have the knowledge and know. A simple example can be given that a person, he is having some kind of difficulty, maybe he has an illness, he has a severe headache, so he types into Google, why do I have a severe headache? And maybe one of the first link comes up, you have this wrong with you and you're going to die and you have 5 days left. Anything can come up, because whoever puts everything onto the internet, everything can be accessed very easily, and not a lot of people know what is the right way to determine what that problem is with the person. So the same way that we will not determine ourselves what is wrong with us, we actually go to the doctors and we get checked out. The same way, when it comes to deen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the Quran to learn from, and the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is in the Hadith, that we can learn from. These things are all there so that we do not go astray and we do not do something that we are not supposed to. Many a times a person thinks that they are doing something which is correct and they will feel that they are getting the reward for it, but in fact, because of them doing it the wrong way, they will get sin for it. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ مُسْلِمٍ, that it is farz upon each and every single Muslim to go and learn about the deen. If we do not have the knowledge of our deen, how will we be able to do the actions which are required in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And this is where we have to know, do we have that will inside of us that we want to learn? This is the first question, that how do I bring that want and will to learn about my deen? That will only come when we try to act upon what our deen is saying, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking from us. For example, the simple things are the fara'id which a person has to do throughout his life. If a person acts upon that, it will be the beginning in order to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a person, he will always look for goodness. A person will want to have goodness in his life. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned about that, مَن يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ, that whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes good for, He will give him the understanding in deen. And in order to get the understanding of deen, it is about being in the right environment. If a person is in the right environment where deen is being taught, where deen is being learned about, then he will be able to go forward and he will be able to improve with his knowledge of deen. But if a person is never in the right environment, a person, he says, I want to become a doctor, but where does he go? He goes to maybe a football match. He says, I'm here to become a doctor. Is he going to become a doctor? Maybe somebody like Brother Zahid there, he might become, because he is, mashallah, he knows his things. But in reality, it's not going to work. If a person wants to learn about deen, a person wants to understand what the deen is saying, then he has to be in that environment. A lot of the times, parents, they come and they ask, and they say that, we are living in a very difficult time. We have not very many facilities in Scotland. We are not able to we are scared and worried about our children and what is going to happen with our children. So the first thing which the elders have always said is, what kind of an environment do you have in your house? If the environment at home is good, then no matter what happens outside, they're always going to come back to you, and they will follow what has been taught to them by their parents. But if the parents leave everything down to the teachers and wherever it is that they send them, then there's only so much that a teacher can do. Majority of the time, the child, when he goes for his Islamic studies lessons or his Quran class, it will be 2 hours. They spend maybe 6 to 7 hours in school, and the rest of the time they're at home. And the parents, because of it being a long day, they themselves have been working as well, so they become a bit lazy when it comes to helping out their children and giving the right tarbiyah. And this is when we go maybe back 10-15 years ago, just less than that it was a time when the parents, they would keep on top of everything what their children would be doing. Today's day and age, it has become such that everybody has become so busy with doing everything for themselves that they forget the responsibility that they have on their children. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask each and every single parent on the Day of Judgment, that this child that you had under you, what did you do with them? Yes, you will be asked about did you look after them? Did you do all of these things? But the same way you'll ask about the deen as well. That did you give them that chance to learn the right knowledge of deen? Did you give them the same way that we strive to give them the knowledge of dunya, that we want them to prosper and to have the best of jobs so that they can have a good and relaxing life. But what we sometimes forget is, we have to look further ahead, that this dunya is only very temporary, and we have to prepare for what is permanent, and that is the akhirah. And if a person does not prepare himself and his children for the akhirah, then he himself he'll be stressed, and he'll be in that regret, that if only I had done it the right way. And so this is where we have that opportunity, where the elders mention that what we should do, at least a minimum, is at home we sit with our children and we read about our deen. We read the stories of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. If not that, then at least we watch something which is going to be beneficial for them, something which is going to help them to understand their deen and to make them love the deen as well. Today the only thing that children watch is whatever programs they have on YouTube or whatever it is on Netflix, all these different things, and it's a complete and total waste of time. That's it, as simple as that. That whatever they are watching, it is not beneficial at all for them. And the only thing that you get out of these things is advertising. That everything that they watch, whenever you go to the shop, they'll see something which has the picture on that they watch, and they say, I want this and I want that. And this is what happens because we are becoming lazy as parents. And instead of doing the actual things which is needed from us, as in being a responsible parent, what we're doing is we're just taking the easy way out, becoming lazy, and giving them whatever it is that they want. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question us about these responsibilities which have been given to us. So this is why we have to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He first of all gives us the true and proper hidayah. Ameen. And after that, what we need to do is understand that these children that I have under me, they are my responsibility. Whether they are your children, your grandchildren, every single one of them. That just when children are at a young age, they're like a sponge. Everything that you teach them, it will go into them. If you probably look at the younger kids nowadays, because they basically became like robots, because they watch so many things. They're always, everything just comes off their tongue, everything that they watch, and they know all of that by heart. But when it comes to Quran and all of the Deeni stuff, is very little compared to the Dunyawi stuff. So this is where we need to make sure that we keep an interest and we prepare them for what is to come in the Akhirah. And as parents, as grandparents, as elders, each of these things will be asked of us, that what did you do? This is going to help us not only in the dunya but in the akhirah as well. Imagine that person who does good and teaches his children the right thing, that will become a sadaqah jariyah for him for the rest of his life. Even after he has passed away, because of his child doing good deeds, because of his child doing what is asked of him, because of following what his dad or his parents, grandparents, whatever they taught, that is going to help him and be beneficial for him in the akhirah as well. So this is where we have to realize that the knowledge of deen, a person, he can't sit himself and think, I know everything already, I don't need to learn anymore. There is so much out there to learn about our deen, that to learn about the history, to know that when Islam first came about, what was the situation after Islam came, how did it all change, and throughout all these years, why has everything changed so much? When we look at what is happening in the dunya today, all of these things, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said over 1400 years ago, these things are going to happen. So no matter, there's not much that we can do to stop it, but it is going to happen. But what we can do is to prepare our offspring and our nasl in such a way where they will be from amongst the ones who will be successful. And this is what we want, that each and every person, that as long as we try our hardest, nobody is saying that become a saint and all these things. Those days are gone. It is very difficult for that to happen. But as long as we try, we make sure that we sit and we give time to our children and we talk to them about the deen. We can very easily talk about other things, but when it comes to deen, we are very limited. So this is where ourselves, if we have that knowledge, then only will we be able to pass it on to our children as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to understand these things. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all hidayah. Ameen wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.